On the news tonight, federal government inaugurates Presidential Food Systems Coordination Unit. President Bola Tinubu renames National Theatre Iganmu as Wole Soyinka Center for Culture and the Creative Arts. Nigeria Center for Disease Control launches integrated testing and surveillance project in Lagos. On the foreign scene, Gaza's civil defense recovers 60 bodies in the city of Tal Halhawa after Israeli pull out. We'll bring you details in a moment. Please stay with us. Many thanks for joining us. I am Bukola Taylor Cole. Vice President Kashim Shettima has inaugurated the Presidential Food Systems Coordination Unit as part of efforts by the administration of President Bola Tinubu to tackle hunger and hardship in the land. Now, this followed a presentation by the Technical Assistant to the President on Agriculture, Office of the Vice President, Marion Moon. Addressing members of the group comprising governors, cabinet ministers and representatives of development partners, the vice president said the nation is facing a rare food security crisis, and the sooner the government comes to terms with the reality, the better. Outlining the mandate of the unit, the vice president said it was not created to disrupt the functions of the Ministry of Agriculture, noting that the urgency and seriousness of the matter at hand requires the ideas and resources of all stakeholders. State governors in the committee outlined plans to modernize farming practices, increase crop yields, and transform Nigeria into a self-sufficient food producer.
To implement what has been decided in this, and I'm sure what the outcome of this will be very, very important, because at least the smallholder farmer will be able to be assisted.
This committee will look into the possibility of investing in commercial agriculture, ensuring that private partnership-driven program is established with a view to producing food commodity in huge quantity. I want to assure you that the committee members, especially the subnationals, will give the desired commitment and political will required to drive the process with a view to increasing food production in the state through commercial agriculture and through mechanization.
Very laudable project, and we sincerely want to thank our Vice President for coming up with this idea. We have deliberated on so many ideas on how we are going to improve on our agriculture to make sure that we have enough food for our people. Remember, there is an adage that says, a hungry man is an angry man. But with all this that we have deliberated inside, soon and very soon, Nigeria will be a better place where we have foods for people, and Nigeria will be better.
Uninspired country representative of the Food and Agricultural Organization, Dominic Kofi Kakao, who spoke on behalf of a group of donors, pledged their commitment to the success of all the efforts by the federal government aimed at addressing food insecurity in the country. The Nigerian Governors Forum has described the Supreme Court's judgment granting financial autonomy to local governments as a relief from financial burden to state governments. The chairman of the NGF and Governor of Kwara State, Abdurrahman Abdurrazak, who expressed this position on behalf of his colleagues while speaking to journalists at the State House, welcomed the judgment, assuring of compliance by state governments. Abdurrazak said the ruling is a dissolution of power that relieves governors of the significant financial burden of bailing out local governments, an expense he said many Nigerians are unaware of.
Governors are happy with the devolution of power
in respect to local government autonomy. It relieves the burden on governors. People really don't know how much states expend in building out local governments. It's not going to affect the states. We've never tampered with local government funds, so it's going to continue. What the local governments have to do is to manage themselves, especially with the upcoming minimum wage, to manage their affairs and make sure salaries are paid. Traditional rulers get their 5%, and those are the main issues.
While acknowledging the need for compliance, the NGF chairman said state attorney generals have applied for the enrollment order, which will be carefully studied. And meanwhile, the forum will meet next Wednesday to discuss the issue and then come up with a resolution. The Lagos State House of Assembly has resolved to invite the State Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice Lawal Pedro for explanations on the Supreme Court judgment which granted autonomy to local governments in the country. At a plenary presided over by the Speaker, Right Honorable Mudashiru Obasa, says it is important to understand the judgment of the Apex Court as it relates to local government creation and operations.
The law of the state legislature establishes local government functions, its existence, administration, finance, and non-finance. The same constitution also says the state legislature shall have power on whatever its law creates.
The Speaker, while speaking further on the judgment, says there are some provisions and clauses in the Constitution on local government that needs to be properly dissected for proper implementation.
In the judgment. So it talks about the governors entirely, leaving the legislature out of it. So you can, I'm sure you will agree with me that there's need for us to seek for clarification on this judgment. And having it at the back of our mind that we have 3 tiers of government, but only 2 are being recognized in the Constitution. So if I want to draw the other tier of government into it, then it should be open.
Recall that a 7-man panel of the Supreme Court had declared that the 774 local government councils in the country should receive their funds directly from the federal government, as well as manage such funds themselves, being a tier of government. The court also declared that allocations to local government councils run by caretaker committees are illegal. Now, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control has launched the Integrated Disease Testing and Surveillance Project in Lagos. The initiative seeks to help provide advanced capacity for diagnosis of tropical diseases and strengthen public health infrastructure. Health correspondent Aminat Elegushi has the report.
The administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has embraced partnership in its drive to prioritize the healthcare system of Nigeria. The partnership has birthed the donation of high-intensive laboratory equipment donated by the Taiwan government in collaboration with the United States to the Nigeria Center for Disease Control.
It's our own experience. We put high hope in this particular program, in this particular center, because we know it's so important to make the livelihood of every general citizen to be safe. Then you can push forward for any kind of development and any kind of progress. So Taiwan is so proudly to be able to participate in the project and make it look so bright future, and also be able to collaborate more.
Continued progress against malaria and neglected tropical diseases is critical to saving lives, and our efforts to strengthen the capacity of this laboratory using advanced testing and surveillance capacity has the potential to strengthen our global workforce and the emergency response capabilities of an entire region.
How important it is to get this testing and monitoring capability right here into Lagos. Bringing healthcare to the people, bringing the capacity to the people helps both the health response, but also bolsters Nigeria's capability as a a regional player.
These integrated disease testing and surveillance projects, according to the NCDC Director General, Dr. Jide Idris, will help swift prevention, surveillance, detection, and response.
This compound has continued to develop. And part of that development is what we're here today, just to increase capacity for diagnosis, especially with respect to malaria, neglected tropical diseases, mycology, and other public health diseases. So the plan is to expand our detection capabilities for us to effectively combat these diseases.
We're trying to drive the culture of testing and treating it with positive results. And for us to have a reference malaria laboratory in Lagos, funded by our partners, is really a step in the right direction.
Dr. Idris also gave assurance of the country's capacity and readiness to combat new diseases.
Time they complete this upgrade of this lab here, Nigeria will be in a better position to detect most of the diseases that are prevalent here, including those ones that cause epidemics. And if we can detect early, we can easily mount a response to reduce the negative effect of these diseases. That will reduce number of deaths, reduce number of illnesses.
It is hoped that when fully set up, the laboratory will help intensify evidence-based solutions to healthcare challenges in Nigeria. Aminat Elegushi, LTV News.
Nigeria will soon get a biosafety level laboratory and a training institute for scientists in the country. Director General, Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, Dr. Jide Idris, who disclosed this, says the project will be situated at the premises of the NCDC in Lagos. Now, President Bola Tinubu has renamed the National Theatre in Igomu, Surulere as the Wole Soyinka Center for Culture and the Creative Arts. President Tinubu congratulates Nigeria's literary colossus and global icon, Professor Wole Soyinka, on his 90th birthday. President Tinubu described Professor Soyinka as one of the finest minds of his generation, conforming to the highest standards of human enlightenment, but unyielding to injustice, oppression, and base impulses. President Tinubu wishes Professor Soyinka many more years of good health and creative fulfillment as a global force for change. Now, Professor Soyinka is a globally celebrated playwright, novelist, poet, essayist, actor, singer, composer, and documentarian. He won the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1986, the first African to win the prize in that category. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has also congratulated literary giant Professor Wole Soyinka on the occasion of his 90th birthday, describing him as a patriot and Nigeria's pride. Governor Sanwo-Olu, in the congratulatory message issued by his special advisor on media and publicity, Gboyega Akoshile, said the playwright, poet, and essayist is worthy of all celebrations as a Nigerian advocate of good governance, voice of the voiceless, and one of Nigeria's biggest exports in the world. The governor said Professor Soyinka, as a quintessential scholar and literary icon, has used his position and experience to contribute positively to literature, academics, and governance, not only in Nigeria and Africa, but also globally. Governor Sanwo-Olu also praised the celebrant for his commitment to democratic government. He commended the crucial role the playwright played in the dark days of the military junta for the restoration of democratic governance in Nigeria in 1999. Now, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has presented official vehicles to directors in the Lagos State Public Service. The presentation is part of the government's efforts to increase productivity, motivate staff, and ensure that Lagosians get better service delivery in all areas. Speaking during the presentation at the State Secretariat at Lausa, Governor Sanwo-Olu, represented by the Lagos State Head of Service, Bode Aguru, said the occasion marked a significant milestone in the present administration's commitment to excellence and efficiency. He added that the presentation was in line with the state government's commitment to ensuring more efficiency. The Secretary, Lagos State Staff Housing and Loans Board, Abdurrafiu Fashola, while responding on behalf of the directors, expressed appreciation and heartfelt gratitude to the governor for the official vehicles. He promised more dedication and better performance by all recipients of the vehicles. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has reiterated his administration's commitment to galvanizing the local economy, fund and train owners of small and medium enterprises to scale up the development of Lagos State. He gave the assurance during a courtesy visit by members of the United Nations Industrial Development Organization. Correspondent Olubukola Akinkolusho has the report.
One of the agenda of the Lagos economy is transforming it, and the strategic process is partnering with various organizations and countries. Paying a courtesy visit to the Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu are some members of the United Nations Industrial Development Organization, led by the Deputy Director General to Nigeria and Managing Director of the Directorate of Global Partnerships and External Relations, Fatal Haidara. The visit is to collaborate with Lagos State government on industrialization which cuts across all sectors.
Our aim is to support the national strategies of Nigeria in terms of industrial development. And the industrialization of today is different from what we used to have 50, 60 years ago. Our mandate is inclusive and sustainable industrialization, which means partnerships, and in particular partnerships with the private sector.
Representing the governor is his deputy, Dr. Obafemi Amzat, who says government has over the years been working endlessly to improve on the productivity of small and medium enterprises. He says the administration encourages small companies to grow with the various policies in place.
We're working with some banks. So for example, the Dangote Foundation promised to say, okay, we put in $1 billion. So Lagos State will also put in $1 billion naira, and we both look for people that will benefit. So in some cases it's grant, in some cases it'll be loan. But the most important thing is actually the training. How do you keep your books? How do you manage your businesses? So it's not just giving people. So we've been doing that aggressively. And I think the important thing for us is to focus on those small companies that actually use local materials, not imported materials. So that way you can create jobs along the value chain.
Meanwhile, calls on organizations such as the United Nations Industrial Development Organization have been urged to partner with states and not only the federal government. Olubukola Akinkolusho, LTV News.
Still ahead. Stakeholders advise federal government to domesticate its policies to favor state governments. That's in a moment. Stay with us.
Well, a lot Mayor's show, right? And it's an opportunity for us to just depict what Lagos is all about. Lagos, to set it straight, is the largest city in Africa, right? It's the biggest economy that is a sub-national in Africa. And all we're trying to do is to be able to let the world know that Lagos is indeed ready for bigger business. It's a big mega city on its own right now. But we want to make it, one of the international financial centers in the world, right? And it's only at an event like this, competing with other bigger cities and other nations, that you can get to tell your story. So it's storytelling time for us, but really, really I'm needed from the front for everyone in the world, really, to use the Lord Mayor's show, who we're drawing a partnership to be able to say that Lagos is indeed ready, to take over the world, in the financial space, in the economic space, and to truly really be able to tell both the Lagos, the Nigerian and the African story. So that's why we're here, and we're truly excited to be part of this show. You know, this is the first time Nigeria is showing, you know, at the Lord Mayor's show. There have been a few other countries that have turned around, right? And so there's no better time, you know, and we're in it, we're going to make the best out of it, right? And be able to, you know, let other parts of the world know who we are, understand our culture, understand that we're the center of, you know, culture, entertainment, music in the whole of Africa, and to also be able to, for people to know, you know, what we have, you know, to give to the world.
Thanks for staying with us. The federal government has been advised to domesticate their policies in favor of the states. This was the consensus at the CEO Forum 2024. Correspondent Olubukola Akinkolusho has the report.
Leadership in any nation may determine how the economy develops, depending on the pragmatic approach of the leaders. Speaking on what the state governments have done in economic growth in Lagos, Kano and Jigawa states, Lagos State Deputy Governor Dr. Obafemi Amzat assures that policies and programs are in place for businesses in the state to thrive.
Service is very key for us. That's why in Lagos State, we worked on establishing the Lagos Financial Center. That's like creating a zone for financial services that allows businesses to thrive and rest.
And that also urges the federal government to put in place policies that will assist the state governments.
Most federal government policies need to, to direct down to the states. So think of, say, transportation also. So if federal government is buying buses, for who? Is it just for Abuja? Or is it for Lagos? Is it for Kano? Is it for, So the states have the people to serve. And as such, the policies of the federal government must be to assist those states.
More collaboration of state governments, according to the panelists, will help cushion the effects of the economic downturn and develop states.
About 9 factories now, they are starting building factory there. So we believe by making these industries, one thing is that we'll create more jobs to our own youths. A lot of them will get more jobs there. And in future, we will generate revenue for the states.
Yes, I think it is very important to partner with the state, and it is also the most veritable platform to ensure most impactful interventions of the federal government.
The theme of the CEO Forum is Leadership in Tough Economic Times. Olubukola Akin Kolusho, LTV News.
Justice James Omotosho of the Federal High Court Abuja has granted the former Minister of Power Saleh Mamman bail to the tune of 10 billion naira and 2 shorties in like sum. Mamman was arraigned on 12 counts bordering on conspiracy to commit money laundering and possession and use of known proceeds of criminal conduct. While ruling on a bail application by the defendant, Justice Omotosho held that the shorties must own properties in Abuja with a minimum value rate of 750 million naira. The court also held that the shorties must submit certified land documents to the court with a 3-year tax levy. In the alternative, the court held that the defendant can produce a bank guarantee of the said amount, and if that is provided, no surety is needed. The court subsequently adjourned the case to September 25, 2024 for the commencement of the trial. The Labour Party National Transition Committee, a body set up by the Nigeria Labour Congress (NLC), has dissociated itself from the planned state congresses announced by the national chairman of the Labour Party, Julius Sabure. This disclaimer was contained in the statement signed by its Media and Publicity Subcommittee Chairman, Tony Akoni, in Abuja. In response, the National Publicity Secretary of the Labour Party, Obiora Ifo, dismissed the committee as unknown to the party, and as such, statements emanating from it with respect to the Labour Party should be ignored by the public. He equally said the planned congresses lack the support of the Nigeria Electoral Act, the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC), and the Nigeria Constitution, which established and regulates the affairs of political parties. Akoni explained that since several stakeholders, including INEC and the Labour Party's national leader, Peter Obi, through his spokesman, Yunusa Tanko, had at various times dissociated themselves from the Nnewi Convention. As such, any action taken by persons purporting to have been elected at the said event remains a nullity. The Defense Headquarters says the ongoing counterinsurgency and counter-terrorism operations across the country might not achieve the desired objective without the support of the public. This was made known by the Director of Defense Media Operations, Major General Edward Buba, during a bi-weekly briefing at the Defense Headquarters in Abuja on the successes recorded in the last 2 weeks. He said the tremendous successes recorded in recent times were not unconnected with the prompt and timely information from the public to the Nigerian military and other security agencies. General Buba said within the period under review, over 200 enemies of the state were neutralized and 184 were napped within the 5 theaters of operations across the nation. The Defense Operations spokesman highlights some of the achievements recorded within the period, with over 100 assorted weapons and ammunition recovered. The Defense High Command commended troops of the Armed Forces of Nigeria and other agencies for their unwavering commitment to defend the territorial integrity of the nation. The Nigeria Army, Navy and Police have stressed the need for trust among security agencies to address the multifaceted security challenges of a cosmopolitan city like Lagos. At the 2-day retreat of the Lagos State Neighborhood Safety Agency, stakeholders emphasized the need for collaborative efforts to tackle insecurity in various communities. We have details in Taiwo Hussein Aremu's report.
Of Lagos State Neighborhood Safety Agency enabled the management and top officers to strategize and enhance its commitment in line with mandate of ensuring safety in various communities. Strengthening collaboration among security agencies, the retreat discussed joint approach towards enhancing security in the society. It had representatives from Nigerian Army, the Nigerian Navy, and the police as part of its interactive session. Highlighting the importance of the retreat, Senior Special Assistant to the Governor on Youth, Security and Governance, Kehinde Motajo, reaffirmed the state government's proactiveness in eliminating security threats.
There's nowhere in the world that doesn't have security challenges, but Lagos State is always proactive, and the reason why we're having this is just to be proactive, and we're not waiting for a crime or maybe a kind of insurgency before we swift into action. It's just another way to build capacity in the NJC.
General Manager, Lagos State Neighborhood Safety Agency, Dr. Ifalade Oyekon, notes that the collaboration and synergy with other security agencies is pivotal to achieve a common goal through information sharing, community engagement, and integrated training.
We've seen a way forward, what we can do in common, and how we can operate together without any inch. And this time around, it's not going to be because I'm a military person, I have to look down on the other security outfit. No, everybody's coming on board to really have one common goal and one common aim.
Ifalade stated that the agency is ever committed to discharging their duties as custodian of peace and security in various communities.
Being in the
We apologize for that technical itch. Now to the sad one, Plateau Commissioner for Information and Communication, Musa Ashams, has confirmed that about 200 students were trapped in the Jos school building that collapsed in Jos. The Saints Academy, a secondary school in Jos, collapsed while students were writing their third term examination. Ashams, who visited the scene in the company of other commissioners, including that of the secondary education, said the school had a total population of about 400. It said the number of casualties cannot be ascertained until the evacuation is completed. The commissioner said the incident underscores the imperative of Order 003 of the state government, meant to enforce the implementation of the Greater Jos Master Plan to prevent such unfortunate incidences. According to him, the collapsed school building was built in a waterlogged area and clearly did not meet construction standards. Coming up, CBN sells $122.67 million to 46 authorized dealers. That's business news. Stay with us.
On Business News tonight, the Senate has rejected a bill seeking to review foreign exchange market regulations in the country. The piece of legislation, sponsored by the Chairman, Senate Committee on Finance, Sani Musa, also seeks to make provisions for the control, monitoring, and supervision of transactions conducted in the foreign exchange markets. The proposed law is titled the Foreign Exchange, Control and Monitoring Bill 2024. In his lead debate, Musa described the bill as an important legislation that seeks to repeal the Foreign Exchange, Monitoring and Miscellaneous Provision laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004. He said it would also contribute to the sound development of the national economy by striving to facilitate foreign transactions and maintain an equilibrium of balance of international payments. Musa added that with the bill, the operation of domiciliary accounts shall be as prescribed by the bank, and that the powers of the CBN have been widened to prescribe how foreign exchange may be accepted for the payment of goods and services in Nigeria. Most senators in their various contributions expressed the fears that a fresh legislation seeking to monitor or control the activities of the foreign exchange market, apart from what the CBN was doing, could be counterproductive. The Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, who presided over the session, urged Musa to withdraw the proposed law for further consultations, but the senator refused to do so. Akpabio subsequently called for a voice vote to determine whether it should be approved or rejected for second reading. However, the majority of the federal lawmakers voted against it. The Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has sold about $122.67 million to 46 authorized dealers in its determination to promote stability and reduce market volatility in the foreign exchange market. A statement signed by the bank's director in charge of financial markets, Omolara Duke, disclosed that of the total sale, over $67 million was sold to 27 dealers, while the sum of $2.5 million was bought from one authorized dealer on July 10, 2024. The range of the bid for the July 10, 2024 sales was 1,480 naira per dollar to 1,500 naira per dollar, while the value date for the payments, going by the settlement cycle of 2 days, is July 12, 2024. Similarly, on July 11, 2024, the sum of over $55 million was sold to 19 authorized dealers at 1,540 naira per US dollar, and no foreign exchange was purchased. The value date for the payments of the spot sale is July 15, 2024. The Apex Bank urged all authorized dealers to ensure that foreign exchange purchases from the CBN are used exclusively for trade-backed transactions, which should be reported within 72 hours. The Niger Delta Development Commission has promised that the early approval of its 2024 budget will help to fast-track the development of the Niger Delta region. The NDDC Managing Director, Dr. Samuel Ogbuku, said this while presenting its 2024 budget estimate of 1.9 trillion naira to the House of Representatives Committee on the NDDC in Abuja by the NDDC Director of Corporate Affairs, Salidi Wakama. He stated that significant progress had been made in the region and efforts were underway to complete all ongoing projects. He explained that in preparing the 2024 budget titled Budget of Renewed Hope, there was a plan to sustain a robust foundation for sustainable economic development and a greener future for the region. The NDDC board stated that the proposed budget will be funded through federal government contributions, oil companies' contributions, ecological funds, arrears owed to the NDDC by the federal government, and recoveries by federal government agencies, revenue brought forward, borrowings, and internally realized incomes. And that's all on Business News.